あ、あ、やるか。なんか、まあ、いっか。あのね、ストーリーやります。これ、ちゃんと配信できるかわかんないねんけど、声とかも、どうなんやろ。これ操作ミスってさ、OBS の設定全部飛ばしちゃったから、マジでちゃんとできてるかわからんねんな。まあ、後で配信見るか、自分で。いやー、今日はね、ストーリーやっていきます。一応、アドベンチャーってことは知ってる。あんまりね、何も前情報は入れてないです。はじめ。うん。ああ、なるほどね。わかったわかったわかった。わかったわかった。オーサリティゲスト。達人さん。映像字幕。アンチグレル。設定はこれなんか。字幕はあってよくて。検索。まあ、順番に見るか。
You think it's murder? I mean, clearly it's murder. What can I do to help?
とりあえず順番に見るしかない。
Yeah, that's me. But February, that was months ago. What's that got to do with Simon's murder?
サイモンって誰？
I'd like to speak to a lawyer now.
うん。
You have no murder weapon. You have nothing. And all these stories we've been telling each other. Just that. Stories.
検索ワードを入れていけばいいのかな？っていうか、ローカライズちゃんとしてんな。日本語バンバン入るやん。
Simon Smith. He works at Ernst Brothers Glass. They do windows, all kinds of glass. Simon does the more special work. Mirror making, feature windows, artistic things. Really beautiful things.
これあれなんか、もう検索ワードを見つけて、っていうか、リードミーとかあるやん。ロジックデータベース。で、こう、映像を見ていくゲームなんか。わかんねえ。ロジックデータベースについて。コンピューターテクノロジーは現代の警察活動の根幹を担うものであり、このロジックデータベースは我々の仕事の流れをデジタル化し、より活用しやすい形で証拠を保存するための試みの一つ。はい。このデータベースには、ポーツマス、凶悪犯罪関連アーカイブより集めたビゾエルザは、ババーサバーバは、バーババ、バーバーババーバーバー、ババーババ、それぞれにキーワードを追加することで、はいはいはい。動画にはタグがついてるよっていう話ね。検索ボックスに言葉を入力する。検索を押すと、半角スペースで区切って複数の入力をすることで検索の幅を狭めることができる。発言の全文をダブルコーテーションで書くことで発言と完全に一致する フリップ、はいはい。フリップ後で参照したい場合は、セッションに保存。タグボックスにキーボードを追加しておくと。はいはい。なるほどね。やっぱりこの検索ワードで検索するゲームなんか。こいつがデータベースだ。情報公開法に沿って申請し、ゲストとしてのアクセス権を取得しておいたよ。SB。機能してるようだ。1999年に行われたみたいだが、Y2K。ゴミ箱。あー。おー。結構強え。この CPU 結構強えぞ。負けそう。なにこれ。っていうかこれ、負けたんや。何もないし。まあまあまあ、わかったわ。とりあえずビデオ見ていったらいいねんな。
It's the Rockington Arms, The Rock.
ザ・
It's
ロ
run
ッ
by
ク
a
ね。
nice couple, Peter and Susan. There's some other regulars there that Simon likes to drink with, and the barmaid they're having sometimes, Helen. Peter said Simon had been in and had a few drinks.
うーん。
Yes, there's an Amstrad one. No one uses it for very much. There's a printer so you can write letters on it. Simon sometimes plays games, you know, climb the tower, save the princess, that kind of thing. Simon isn't the type to run off or do anything crazy. Someone must have done something to him, or there must have been some kind of accident. So what do we do next?
サイモンがいなくなった話。
Thanks. Please find Simon. I love him so much.
なんかここにワードがいっぱい出てき
It's
た
the
な。
Rockington Arms, The Rock. It's
The
run by
Rock.
a nice couple, Peter and Susan. There's some other regulars there.
選挙カーが来た。見バレする。
So,
まあ、いっか。
Friday evening,
現在地言われても。
we had an argument. He left.
引用の。
Saturday, he didn't come
いや、
back.
マジでうるせえわ。
Waited all day. He was supposed to go help Eric out with something on the Saturday afternoon. They had a job. He didn't show. So Eric was ringing on the phone. I checked at the Rock, that's our local. They said they'd seen him on the Friday night, but not since. He still wasn't back this morning. It just isn't like him at all. Still not back by dinner time. It's getting dark again. So I decided to come and see you. His parents haven't heard anything. He left. It was Friday.
エリック。エリック。これメモとか取りながらやった方がいいんかな。
I don't know.
誰
I mean,
さっきの人か。
I guess The Rock. You've spoken to everyone there. Someone must have seen where he went. I don't know. So many things could have gone wrong.
もう、このさ、この服装によって日にちが違うのがわかんねえな、一応。
Yes,
7月3
I
日。
understand my rights. No, I don't need a lawyer. Can I leave? Are you going to arrest me? No. They'd laugh you out of the building. A lawyer would make mincemeat of you. Like I said,
7月
if I was
1日。
popping out to get something, ran out of something, had to grab something, I sometimes drive too fast. If you want, you can arrest me for that. Are you arresting me? No. Fuck off.
Fuck off!
Open this door.
7月3日。
This isn't nice of them.
これ7月
This
3
is
日の
where you
始まり
take
や
me
な。
when it's time to arrest them.
時系列で検索できないのさ、システムシステムの結果じゃないこれ。
No lawyer. What are you going to arrest me for?
特に情報なかったかもな。6月27日。
When I arrived in Glasgow, I was
グラス
exhausted.
ゴーね。
The streets were empty. I was driving badly. And I hit a taxi. Not a big crash, just paintwork. The guy was so pissed off because I didn't have a driving license on me. But when I told him I was pregnant, he made sure I got to the hospital so they could check me out. It was fine. The hospital must have details when I was looked at. There's a scratch on the car.
昔の事故の話かな。
A police station. Yeah. When I was young, we ran away on my birthday. Bob Dylan was playing in London and we thought we could break into his tour bus and have him take us with him. The taxi driver we paid to drop us off. I mean, we'd saved money, pinched a bit here and there to pay for the fare. He was suspicious because we were so young, so he told the police. So they came and picked us up and took me back to Portsmouth. My mum picked me up from the station. But I
Eveは誰？
with my friend Eve. So my parents let me off.
本筋と関係ない話はいっぱいあるのか。
Differences? She's a better driver than me. She passed the test for us. I
Eve
tried
の
to take
話
it
か。
and nearly crashed the car. Learned that you can't rely on confidence to get you through everything. She is the shy one. She was especially shy around boys. If Hannah liked a boy, I would have to pursue him. It was that way with Carl.
カールは
I
誰？
met him first.
花。
She had
Eve
such
ではない。
a
花。
crush. I let him take my virginity after a night that his band had played at. It got difficult. When I was with Carl, we would have sex, but Hannah couldn't let him see she was a virgin. She had lots of excuses. After a while, we decided that I should take Hannah's virginity. It's not that different to a bruise, pulling a tooth, a graze. We used a hairbrush.
何の話これ。
After that, we took it in turns, though. I was always the one who seduced the boys. Until Simon.
カールっていうのが出てきたな。BGM が流れる。
Was he my first? No need to be so coy. No, he wasn't my first. That would have been Carl. He was a local boy in a band. He was a bit of a shit. But he was sexy. We were 15. No, I was 15. Carl was older.
カールはあれか、サイモンとの出会いの話で出てくるだけなんか。
I was really into him, regardless of how he actually behaved. Lots of drunken teenage sex. We did it in a church once. Stupid. So he got tired of us and we split up after about 6 months. It was sad, but those early experiences, they help you realize who's
こ
really
れってどうなったら終わりな
important
のこのゲーム。
to you, no? Family.
ファミリー。
Family. So, Carl fucked off, and then there were other boys here and there, and then Simon.
サイモンと出会った話いっぱいするな。
Hannah was so smitten with Simon. She started getting jealous, didn't want to share. Even the first date. We went to see Tom Cruise at the Old Odeon. We both went, kept changing places in the toilet. We only had one best dress, so we had to keep swapping clothes.
ハナはあれなんか、
Plus,
双子
we
なん
had
か、
terrible bladder problems.
入れ替われるってこ
The
と。
next date, it was my turn. At the end, I let him kiss me. But that was it. We didn't want another Carl on our hands, and the Ouija board had said to hold back. After that, it was Hannah's turn, and she slept with him. Broke the rules. Deliberately broke the rules. She wanted to be the first to sleep with him. I mean, that's when she got pregnant.
ってことは映像に出てる人は2人いんのかな。おおおお、なんだ、クラクラやめてくれ。
My name is Hannah.
あ、これが花ね。
H-A-N-N-A-H. It's Pandre. It reads the same backwards as forwards. It doesn't work if you mirror it though. It's not quite symmetrical, but well, I mean, you get the idea. Sorry. Hannah Smith. I live at 31 Gladstone Street.
スミスで検索かけるか次。花じゃない方の名前が分かりたいな。スミスでもないんか。
What are you doing talking about Eve? Yes.
おお、嘘
My
発見
name is
器。
Hannah Smith. Oh, shit. Sorry.
花。
Across the road, where my parents first lived there, was a midwife called Florence. When Hannah was born, I was born at the same time. The midwife was there to help. I'd been throttled by the cord, probably wrapped around my neck by Hannah. The midwife told my mother I was dead. But I wasn't. She wrote all this stuff in a diary. Amazing what people will admit to on paper.
今気づいたけど、検索結果多すぎると見れないんだ。
She recognized me from the window. She told me to come inside, and she hid me. They had made the attic into a place where Hannah could play. There was a dollhouse. She hid me up there.
ああ。
No one else ever went into the attic. It
戸
was
籍
her
ないんか、
place.
この人もしかして。 こだけか。イブ調べるか。
Well, my friend Eve. I mean, she was a friend from when I was a kid. And she was always more popular with the boys, and I used to hate her for it. I mean, really hate her sometimes.
あれなんか。花じゃない子の名前すらないんか、そもそも。
We'd fight.
いや、そんなことないんか。
We fought on the beach once, and I held Eve's head underwater. There was no one else around. It was at the far end of the beach, and I held her head under, and I kept it up. And for a moment, I just wanted to kill her and watch her drown. But that was it. It was just a moment. We made up after. It was a love-hate relationship.
このブラクラはサイモンなのか、もしかして。
My mother called me Eve.
ん
My mother called me Eve.
あどうやったっけな。ポーツマスだ。メモいるな、俺。ポーツマスの話はこれしかないか。
A police station. Yeah. When I was young, we ran away on my birthday. Bob Dylan was playing in London, and we thought we could break into his tour bus and have him take us with him. The taxi driver we paid to drop us off. I mean, we'd saved money, pinched a bit here and there to pay for the fare. He was suspicious because we were so young, so he told the police. And station. But I blamed Portsmouth.
ああ、イーブはイーブでこれ。
I blamed everything on my friend Eve. So my parents let me off.
んイーブは誰？
Well, my friend Eve. I mean, she was a friend from when I was a kid. And she was always more popular with the boys, and I used to hate her for it.
このイーブは誰の話をしてんの？
Really hate her sometimes.
6月30日やろ。
Yes. We'd fight. We fought on the beach.
ああ。花と一人の手で来てたのにイブの話をしてたから、
What are you talking about?
こう友達の手のイブをここで喋ってんのか。双子って出てくるのちゃんとワードで。あ、出てくるやん。
Twins? Really? Are you really asking me that question?
まだここ7月2日とかではすっとボケてんだ。
Are you out of your mind? Twins? There were always princes and princesses. They were the special people, more important than the other characters in their stories. We knew we were like that. Twins. Magical. We were the princesses.
4月3日ぐらいになるともうこれゲロっ
We
て
had
ん
a
ねん。
poster of Princess Diana from the newspaper up in our attic. Had a pride of place. And underneath we used to put all our special things. When her engagement was announced, we were obsessed with everything she did. And later, when her life went so bad, we felt for her. Her divorce last year just kind of drew a line under things.
屋根裏とかで調べるか。お、めっちゃ出てくるやん。
Yes. I inherited it from my parents, so it made sense to move back. Me and Simon. Felt like going back to old ways before the pregnancy. Reminded me of being a girl, a dollhouse in the attic, old things.
6月
We didn't
25
sleep in
日やか
my
ら
parents' bedroom for a long time. We decorated it as soon as we
結構
moved
最初
in,
や。
but it was another year before we started sleeping there. Yes, I read a lot as a child and watched lots of TV. Then the doll's house we had, we still have in the attic. It's kind of a fairy castle. We used to play up there and make up our own stories.
6月27日、友達の話してんな。
Could the hairs have come from somewhere else? I mean, could they... We have a lot of dolls in the attic. There's a Rapunzel doll with long blonde hair.
毛が
Could they have come from there?
毛が出てきた話。
I'm not sure where the dollhouse came from. I don't know if it was given to them or they inherited it. I mean, they wouldn't have had the money to buy it. It was so huge. It must have been taken up to the attic in parts and then reassembled up there. It's a beautiful thing.
何月何日がさ、
Wallpaper to
イブ
scale.
なのか花なのかメモった方がいいよな。まあメモらないんですけどね。
Mirrors, beds, big TVs and pillows. We spent hours and hours playing it, invented all these characters and families who lived there. We wrote paperwork from them all, passports, diaries, and gave them all really elaborate stories. Once, a moth got trapped in there.
Moth.
We left a light on. It was making the most horrendous noise. We tried to kill it, but it was tough. We ended up crushing it under a copy of the Arabian Nights.
毛とかで調べてみるわ。お、まんま出てくる。6月18
Simon's
日。
6 foot, darkish blonde hair, average build. He's clean shaven. If his beard grows, it goes ginger, so he shaves it. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with ginger hair. I bought a photo. They said a spring photo. This was taken last year on holiday in Rome. It's the best one I have.
6月のこの18日が起点なんか。
It's Rapunzel. The story starts when she's born. Mother Gothel, a witch, takes Rapunzel from her parents and keeps her locked up in this tower. Rapunzel gets pregnant by the prince, and Mother Gothel is furious, so she cuts off her hair and throws it. Actually, her hair's already short here, so that's already happened. But she throws her into the wilderness, and Rapunzel is reunited with the prince, who's blind. But she kills him with her tears, and so it's a happy ending. Is that too much?
なんか実績解除した。
What kind of hairs? Really?
8月1日。
Here's the rest.
Laid a body of a doctor, oh, the wind and the rain, till a fiddler with a fiddle came
いや、っていうかこれ YouTube 大丈夫か
on a dreadful wind and rain.
やめてくれ。
Made a fiddle bow of her long
ちょ。
Anything you sing may be used as evidence against you.
これ証拠の話か。 うわー、わかんねえ。もう一回サイモンに戻るか。サイモン、花とかで調べる？サイモン、花。一個だけか。サイモン、花で出てきたやつを見るか。
No. The parents decided there would be a wedding. And after the wedding, Hannah moved in with his parents. There was no way I could follow, so we were separated again. I stayed in the attic. It was hard. It's like I suddenly didn't exist. I would sneak out, but in case anyone recognized me, I started wearing a wig. Hannah and I would meet up in the park. I was trying to get pregnant, but I couldn't. I mean, I couldn't do it with anyone we knew, so it was sex with strangers, drunk guys I'd met in clubs, parks and alleyways. I was 17. It felt like I was being punished. But it was Hannah who had betrayed us. I had to stop when one of the guys gave me an STD. When we met up, it was disturbing. For the first time, my reflection, she didn't look like me. She was fatter, flushed. If anything, I was getting skinnier. I found it hard to look sometimes. We talked about what to do. Was it time to become our own people? I mean, that seemed like the right thing to do, but neither of us wanted it. We agreed that her and Simon would get their own place as soon as possible, and then I could move in. And that was the plan. Hannah had a miscarriage. This was late in the pregnancy and it left her infertile. Felt like the universe had corrected its course. We were aligned again. But Hannah and Simon were still living with his parents. They were married. Simon had a job at the Glaziers now. Eric had given him a full-time position after he left school. And then...
出てこない。エリックは誰？エリックは。めっちゃ出てくるやん、エリックの話。
He was wearing a shirt, a blue turtleneck shirt and jeans. He has a watch. It's a really nice one. That was a gift from his boss, Eric. He had his coat, a long grey
エリックは最後の上司ね。
black Paddington there. He would have taken that with him. It's not in the house. Yes, there's a car that we share, a Cavalier, and a van he uses for work. It's owned by Eric, but we look after it. Both of them are there now, parked in the street. I'm not sure about the keys for the van. I can look for you when I get back. Yes, that would be in his wallet. It's a Visa, a silver one. He doesn't like to spend money he doesn't have, so he usually pays with cash, but Eric convinced him to get one. Eric was like an uncle to him. They were pretty close. They spend a lot of time with each other, especially when they have to go to conferences. Have you met his wife, Diane?
ダイアンも見るか。めっちゃ出る。やっぱ新しい人名はやった方がいい。
She helps out with the Glaziers, organises the Christmas party, that sort of thing. They have 2 kids, really sweet kids. She used to look out for me when I worked there. Yeah, that's Simon's watch. It was a gift from Eric. He got it this year. It was a wedding anniversary gift. Steel. It would have been Diane who chose it. She has really nice taste. That time, you must eliminate me. I was in Glasgow then. Not really. He would go to the pub. He had his drinking buddies there, but no one ever really came back to the house. Sometimes Eric, his boss, and his wife would come over for dinner. That would be us returning the favour. Diane is a really good cook, into her trendy ingredients. And the last time Simon cooked something off MasterChef, he got the recipe off CFAX, and I did my Lloyd Grossman bit, commenting from the sidelines. I had to find fennel from the supermarket. Have you ever eaten fennel?
フェンデルって食べたことある？あ、またギターのところや。
Simon and Eric arguing? No, I can't imagine they'd be arguing. And they get on so well. Unless it was something to do with work. Maybe Simon was being too much of a perfectionist. But I don't know. You should ask Diane.
ダイヤについてはこんだけか5個しかないってことは。何がいいかな。あ、このクリップ。
Okay. I parked up in the street. It was busy, so I had to park down the end of the road. Walked up, knocked on the door, no answer. I took my keys out of my bag and unlocked the door. The main lock was unlocked. You can tell because the key doesn't turn when you try to turn it to the left. I walked in. Simon's coat wasn't on the peg. I couldn't see his shoes in the shoe rack. I shouted out. I walked straight into the kitchen because he usually sits in there to have a cup of tea and read his paper. But he wasn't there. I touched the kettle. It was cold. I looked quickly in the living room. Nothing. So I walked upstairs to the bedroom and he wasn't there. I didn't search for him because it was pretty clear he wasn't there. I had a shower. The phone rang whilst I was in the shower. I didn't answer it. I think it was Eric. Then I was just exhausted. So I lay down on the bed and I fell asleep, though I didn't mean to. I woke up a couple of hours later and I was surprised to see no one in the bed next to me. And then I remembered where I was and what had happened. That's when Eric called again. This time I spoke to him. Then I called Doug and Eleanor. And then I decided to come and see you.
ちょっと待って。
And this time I spoke to him.
ダグとエレノ
I
は
decided to come and see you.
知らない人待って出てきたぞ。
Eleanor?
これ絶対さ、メモ取りながらやった方がいいゲームだったわ。まあ、取らないんですけどね。まあ、取らないんですけどね。
I parked up on the street. It was busy, so I parked down the end of the road. I walked up to the house. I knocked on the door. No answer. I took my keys out of my bag, unlocked the door. The main lock was unlocked. I could tell because the key wouldn't turn when I tried to turn it to the left. I walked in. Simon's coat wasn't on the peg. I couldn't see his shoes on the shoe rack. I shouted out for him. I walked straight into the kitchen. He usually sits in there to have a cup of tea and read his paper. He wasn't there. I touched the kettle. It was cold. I looked quickly into the living room. Nothing. I walked upstairs to the bedroom. He wasn't there. I didn't search for him because it was pretty clear he wasn't there. Then I had a shower. Whilst I was in the shower, the phone rang. I think it was Eric, his boss. I didn't answer it. Then I came out and I was just exhausted. So I lay down on the bed and I fell asleep, but I didn't mean to. I woke up a couple of hours later and I was surprised to see no one in the bed next to me. And then I remembered where I was and what had happened.
これね、
That's when Eric called again. I spoke to him. Then I called Simon's parents. And then I decided
こ
to
れ別の
complete
日に同じこと聞いてるやんか。多分警察に行くことの話を。人間ってこの完璧に昔の話を再現することってできなくて、
I parked up on the street. It was busy. I knocked on the door. Took my key and locked and tried to turn it on the pavement. Straight into and there
この辺全部さ、同じことを言ってるやん。こ
was
れって嘘なんよな。
because we were on the bed.
もう過去のことを語るときって、もう全く同じ順番に喋ることってできないらしいよ。まあでも知らんけど。
And the Glaziers.
まだね。
I worked there some weekends and Simon had a part-time job there too. That was Eric's generosity. He was always good at helping out other people's children. Simon was quiet, more thoughtful than the other boys. Even then, he had a sense of craftsmanship. Wasn't always rushing stuff. Boys that age are just running around like headless chickens most of the time. Yeah. Plus, he had that look. He looked like a fairy tale prince from one of my books.
ダグやったっけ。もうダグの話がいっぱい出る。ダグは誰？
Yeah. I've been round to Doug and Eleanor's and they're very worried. I feel sorry for them.
サイモンの両親か。
I got a job to contribute, you know. Doug knew someone and I got a job as a dinner lady at the primary school. They said it didn't matter if I could cook or not, just don't poison the kids. So you see, it's always been complicated between me and Simon. It's never just been the two of us, there's always been pressure. I hoover, I dust every week, maybe less. I once asked Eleanor how often I should dust, and she said, if people ask, tell them you do it once a week, but every few weeks is okay. I think she was just trying to make me feel better. I mean, when I was there, she was hoovering every day, you know, ran an ordered house. You know how that generation is, putting on a brave front. She has secret stashes of cigarettes. Doug doesn't even know she smokes. When I was there, I saw her. She has these sort of porcelain vases, ornamental, next to the Reader's Digest books. Cigarettes inside. And she still has them. I mean, last time I was there, I looked in a vase. There was a fresh pack. I mean, all those years of marriage. And she still has a secret like that. Yeah. 1984 was an awful year in the end. We were living at Doug and Eleanor's. I lost the baby at the end of spring and my parents died in the summer. It was a hot summer, a heat wave. So when they discovered the bodies, it was just awful. Because of the circumstances, them dying together like that, they brought in a lot of police. A forensic entomologist. I had to look that up. It was because of the heat. It was just awful. This is the third day running you've called me in. I speak to Doug and Eleanor every day. And they say you've been asking a lot of questions. About me. Should I be worried? Am I a suspect?
そういえば容疑者っていう言葉調べなかったな。出てくる。
Okay. So you want to eliminate me as a suspect? should eliminate me as a suspect. If I was in Glasgow, can't be in two places at once.
双子のさ、あれか。アリバイトリックとかも仕掛けてんのか。
What about us? I guess you could call it that, but we were both happy to get married. It was a beautiful wedding. We had our first dance to Come Back and Stay. I'm not sure if that's a good wedding song, but I loved it. I chose it. I mean, it was genuinely our first dance. We'd never danced together before. It was probably awful to watch, but I enjoyed it. It felt like it was just me and Simon for that moment. Just the two of us.
Just the two of us.
No. The whole thing was wrong. The bags, I think they were from our kitchen. You can probably check that.
プロの話初めて聞いたな。
We never go into the cellar. It's just a place we put things we don't need. Dad used to grow mushrooms there. The bags were taped up. I think it was parcel tape, but I think it was ours. I think so. I mean, to get into our garden, we'd have to climb through other gardens. All the gardens back onto each other, so you'd have to climb over 1, 2, 3 gardens to get to ours. I mean, did anyone see anything? Did anyone see anyone come and go? An intruder?
黒27個か、私たち。
Can you imagine? I tried to get pregnant too, but I didn't.
はい、さっきも聞いたような話が気がする
Because
ね。
it was so many boys, men. My body refused. I think my period stopped because hers had. I was pretty ill. I mean, how could we stay the same now? Felt like Hannah had really fucked things up. Set us down separate paths. We had become different.
1月3日はイブだよな。妊娠だけで喋るか。まあまあ出るな。
I got pregnant. Both our parents had a big powwow. We weren't even in the room. And they decided we should get married. No. I lost the baby. I had a miscarriage at 8 months. We carried on living at Simon's parents until...
Yeah.
Well, it was only a few months after. Yes, I'm fine. I won't be sick again. This happens some days. I'm pregnant. It's morning sickness.
ん
No. Well, yes. You found out on my birthday. I told him I was pregnant. I think it was that time, the first time at the house, in his bed, that I got pregnant. Amazing, right? This fucking magic sperm. And they say lightning doesn't strike twice. I didn't tell him. I missed 3 periods. I had pretty irregular periods anyway, but 3. I had always thought we were infertile. Both of us. I didn't tell him. Just waited. Hannah and I were meeting for our birthday, and I told her because I thought she would be happy for us both. I think she was.
뭐庭は2個しかないのか。
Florence was a warm, kind
フローレンスは誰？
person. But she was broken, I guess. When I found her diary, I also found a biscuit tin.
ああ、引き取った助産婦か。
All the papers, letters, that kind of thing. Her story wasn't there. I never really spoke to her about it. I was far too young to really understand. I guess I just put it together later, once I was older. She had loved children, planned to have a large family, but her husband died in the war. And that was back when you married for life. She never felt like she could marry again. Isn't that strange? She was a widow from her 20s. But, I mean, I guess it was different then. You know, you married for life and she felt she could never marry again. I guess it was harder, a war widow. One of the dead. I don't know, maybe there was more to it than that. I don't really know. It was after dinner. I'd spoken to Sam's parents on the phone. I looked up for an early night and I suddenly had this thought. I think it was something his mum had said. She'd been speaking about old stuff, sad stuff, about when we lived there, about the baby. There's some boxes in the cellar, nursery stuff we never needed, and I never had the heart to throw out. And I suddenly remembered that when I'd looked down there the week before, those boxes, that pile was in the wrong place. I went cold all over. I went down there with a torch and went straight to the back, and that's when I saw the bin bags. Pulled them open, saw the body. I screamed, and that's when I called the police. It happened very quickly. We hardly had to talk to each other. We agreed almost silently. The baby was what mattered. We'd help each other. We cleaned up. We bagged up the broken mirror, her clothes. They're gone. We took him down to the cellar. We knew we had an alibi, and we wanted the body to be found later. We wanted to have suspicion on us, so we could then disprove it, rather than have it linger. Better to keep the body in the house than risk being seen with it. The watch, that was my touch.
でもめちゃくちゃケロってないこれ。おクリップもう言っちゃってるよ。
Well, fine, considering. I got back into the house today, and that was weird, knowing your people have been there through my things. It's like I've been burgled. I mean, worse, obviously. I don't know.
サイモンがなんで死んだか分かってない。
I haven't looked in the cellar yet. They sent a cleaner in, as good as new, he said. But they had to throw some stuff out. Couldn't get the blood out. And I'm still waiting to hear from the coroner so we can get a date set for the funeral. It's going to be a cremation. So,
ブラッは7個か。
okay. I've given blood before. Do you need to take that for your records? Nothing like this has ever happened to me before. The blood. It's probably the worst thing that's ever happened to me. From when I woke up.
これメモ取った方が良かったな。登場人物の時系列はメモした方がいい。
Simon was already up and he made me birthday breakfast of eggs Benedict. We both had to go to work, so we saved presents till later. I got to work, had some birthday cake, children sang me happy birthday. Then I came home. The birthday meal was a takeaway, and Simon gave me his present, which I didn't mind. And after that, we talked about the baby. Turned into a big argument. Simon left. I was furious. I wanted to get as far away as I could and get some space to think. So I left. Like I said before, it was 3, something like that. I walked in, saw Simon. He was on the floor of the living room. His throat had been cut. There was a lot of blood. Yeah, he was dead.
3時。お、3時は出てこない。行き詰まってしもうた。わ。2016年6月か。おお。データベースチェッカーとかあんねや。巧妙に隠してあんのいいね。これ時計は意味あんのかな。9時30分ぐらい。ああ。死体でちょっとググるか。
The bruise. I have a really fast metabolism, so stuff like that just comes and goes. I don't know if there's much more that I can tell you that I haven't already told the other policeman. I found the body. his body. It didn't look real. And his throat. It looked like his throat had been cut. And I didn't see his glasses. He has these thick glasses. He doesn't always wear.
このゲームってさ、どうなったらクリアなの？6個か。イブについては7個なんよな。おアンチグレア押したらめっちゃ見やすくなるやん。もうこっちの方が雰囲気出るから、こっちにするか。運転。タクシーの話1個出てきた。
It's like I told you before. I drove. I took the car and drove. I don't have my own car, but I have a spare set of keys. I just drove north. I wanted to think, put some space between me and them. Everything I told you before is true. I stopped at Glasgow. I was tired, exhausted. I pulled out and I hit a car. My car was okay, but I was worried about the baby, so I went to A&E to get the okay. Everything was fine. Slept in the car. When I woke, I tried to call Hannah from a payphone. She wasn't answering. And then I decided to drive back. I had decided that she was more important to me than Simon.
このさ、こう7月3日のイブがめちゃくちゃいろいろ喋ってんねんな。
I'd like to speak to a lawyer now. Please. You have no murder weapon. You have nothing. And all these stories we've been telling each other. Just that. Stories.
これ詰まった時の進め方はちょっとむずいな。サイモンプラスなんかで調べるのがいいんか。休校。
I got in the car and I drove. I just kept driving north. Just kept going, just wanted to get as far away as I could. When I finally stopped, I was all the way up in Glasgow. I was so tired. I just had to sleep. Yes. I got to Glasgow, I was exhausted, so I pulled over and slept in the car. I woke up because a rubbish truck went past. I got some petrol, bought a coffee and a pastry, tried calling someone from the payphone, and then headed back. No, I don't think so. Glasgow was deserted that early in the morning.
ラスコも10個あんのか。あ、エリック。
The legal stuff was completed very quickly. Hannah moved back in with Simon. Eric gave Simon the week off to help with the move. He decorated, modernised wallpaper curtains. Hannah insists the attic be left as it was, dollhouse and all. Simon never went up there.
あんまり関係なかったかな。死体が6なんよな。イブの話。イブ出てこないか。この合意上のワードを組み合わせて絞るっていうのが多分あって。むずくね？こうなったら。
You think it's murder? I mean, clearly it's murder. What can I do to help? Yeah, that's me. But February, I mean, that was months ago. What's that got to do with Simon's murder?
2ヶ月前。カールの話はこれで全部ないよな。屋根裏。お、屋根裏イブ。
Mum and Dad had never had any reason to notice. They were always busy. If Hannah was eating a lot, they didn't mind. She didn't put on any weight. That girl has a healthy appetite. If they heard us talking in the attic. They just thought it was Hannah playing one of her games, and that Eve was our imaginary friend. Once, she was already up and dressed and ready to go to school, and I snuck down for a piss. Mum saw me in my underwear. She went mad. Get dressed this instant! So I ducked into our bedroom, and seconds later, out came Hannah, dressed and ready. My mum was amazed.
何やったっけな。フローレンスやったっけ。
Florence took me home with her. Mother hadn't been expecting twins and had a healthy baby. I guess she was just happy for Florence to clean up, take away the evidence that this was anything but a happy occasion. Florence raised me in her home. I never left it. She kept me out of sight. It wasn't odd for people to see a midwife with a baby, carrying in supplies, washing nappies, that sort of thing. I never knew any different. I grew up looking out of my window and seeing her across the road. I thought it was like a reflection in the mirror. She was me. No, it was just me and her. Eve was the name they were going to call their first child. They talked about it and were going to try when he came back. Florence's family had a history of firstborn girls, so they were convinced it was going to be a girl. It's hard to know if this is all true. These are stories I remember, that I read when I was a child. Maybe I misread, maybe I misunderstood. Sometimes it's hard to remember what happened last week. No. I think he spoke to Helen. She said he was upset about her argument, but I'm not sure what else he said. He likes Helen. He likes Florence.
ヘレンは誰？ヘレンは。
His married couple stuff. A stupid argument. Nothing specific. No one knows how to push your buttons better than those you're close to. No. I mean, yes, we have arguments, but he never runs off. He always comes back. We make up. It's always that way. Yes. He left after the argument. It was about 8 o'clock.
ハナ19でイブ7なのか。詰まった。詰まってしもうた。喉で出てこないんだな。出てくるやん。漢字じゃダメだっただけか。
On his throat. How? Her story is that she'd waited for him to come back. She put on my wig, some of my clothes, pretended to be me. They talked. She'd enjoyed being me. He said he wanted to be with me. Then he took out a present, another mirror, just like the one he'd given her earlier. That unique present. She went crazy, smashed the mirror. They argued, screamed. He hit her. So she grabbed a piece of the mirror and just swung it round. She cut his throat clean open.
あらら。
She'd only meant to scare him off.
でも死んだわ。
Yes, that's my birthday. Not one of the big ones, but I guess you can see that. It was my birthday, like you said. We were going to have a meal at home. We had our meal. He gave me his present. I guess I didn't like the present.
鏡。
It wasn't the present so much. It was one of those arguments that had been simmering for a while. The present was a mirror, a nice mirror. He'd engraved the glass, the kind of mirror a princess would have in a story. He made it specially for me.
なんで鏡で怒ったの？
The mirror. I can't remember. I put it somewhere safe. Upstairs, I think. I haven't looked at it since. Yes. The first time we saw each other, it was strange. We both realised at the same moment, I think. We must have seen each other before, but there was this instant when we first realised it wasn't a reflection. The reflection was staring back. I think I was 5. It was my birthday. My reflection was wearing a party hat and waving. I knew what party hats were from books. And it suddenly occurred to me, today must be my birthday. I waved back and we just spent ages waving at each other and copying each other's movements.
誕生日が8で鏡が13か。ダボーコーテーション使っていくか。ないか。
Eric was like an uncle to him. They were pretty close. They spend a lot of time with each other, especially when they have to go to conferences. Have you met his wife, Diane? ？Yes. I speak with Eleanor at least once a day. Not that there's anything much to say. This moon's just...
特に話すことがあるわけじゃないけど、ザ・ロックの話は何やったっけ？
Oh God, I don't know. There? Anyway, anything's good.
ザ・ロックはカフェか。用語の記憶が薄れてきたな。カールは誰やったっけ？
Family. All fucked off. And then there were other boys here and there.
ああ、カールは初めての彼氏の話か。
Hannah was so smitten with Simon. We both went. We don't.
ああ、マイク殴ってしまう。ここら辺も特にな、参考になる用語はないねんな。ハーストーリーってどうなったらクリアなんこれ。データベースチェッカー全部埋めるとかな。うおー。助けて。喉の話もう一回見るか。いや、時計ってやったっけ？時計って調べてないな。ああ、ダメか。ローレンスはもう飽和したんか。サイモンが52やからな。サイモンと何か。サイモンと妊娠。シュワちゃんが妊娠？ダメです。サイモンとチ。ダメですね。サイモンとグラスコー。おお、出てくる。
What did your wife do? She didn't kill you. You think I killed Simon because he was having an affair? Well, I didn't kill him. I wasn't even there. I was in Glasgow worrying about whether my baby was still growing inside me. I mean, why would I kill Simon? I loved him.
サイモン、エリック。あっこか。サイモン、屋根裏。関係なさそう。あ、出る。
It lasted about 6 months. I tried to carry on, but everything was different. Hannah insisted I not pretend to be her around Simon, let alone sleep with him. We didn't share him like the others. The rules had changed. Me living in the attic had become weird in a way it hadn't been before.
なんか まあまあな話やったね今の。ルールルール。
Okay. She's being chased. They're trying to catch her because she did something bad. I guess she broke the rules. Or maybe they think she did something bad. Maybe it wasn't her fault. She looks scared, not guilty. Maybe it was mistaken identity. Did they catch her there? I don't know. It just became our way of life. We would swap places and take it in turns to do things. And we were very careful. Whoever had been out that day would come back and write a detailed diary so that we were on the same page. We had a list of rules that said what we could and couldn't do in any given situation. It was exhaustive. We lived a second life through those rules. Rules for things that could only ever happen inside our imaginations. We would consider all the permutations of future events and agree rules to walk our way through them.
日記とか。
No, he doesn't keep a diary. That's my thing. I've kept one, well, as long as I can remember, since I was a girl. It helps make sense of my day. And when you're forced to put something into words, it just gives you perspective. Everyone's on the same page. When I was 8, Mother died. She slipped down the stairs. It was an accident. I had read a diary at that point and I knew she wasn't my real mother. So I burned the diary that day and I left. Walked out and across the street.
8歳。お。会話終わっちゃった。終わったやつどうなのこれ。俺のおかんかよ。 ログオフして出てきてくる。エンディングになっちゃった。ある程度のアーカイブ見たらエンディングに入んのか。うーん。鏡で怒った理由だけ分かってないねんな。今1時間半ぐらいか。待って。
Her story is that she'd waited for him to come back. She put on my wig, some of my clothes, pretended to be me. They talked. She'd enjoyed being me. He said he wanted to be with me. Then he took out a present. Another mirror.
Aww.
Just like the one he'd given her earlier. That unique present.
Wig でめっちゃ出てくる。
A wig? You mean... But what type of wig? No, I've never worn a wig. What kind of wig? This other person doesn't exist. I don't know what the blonde wig is, but it could be anything. Have you looked at the cat flap? This was about 9. I went round and she was waiting for me. She was furious and so angry, the kind of anger you can only have towards yourself. We screamed at each other, argued, cried, we fought. I hit her back, left a bruise. I had my wig on from performing and she tore it off. Eventually we grew tired of fighting and I left. This was about 9. I went round and she was waiting for me. She was furious and so angry, the kind of anger you can only have towards yourself. We screamed at each other.
鏡と何かやな。あー。
On my way, she didn't come back. Her story is that she'd waited for him to come on my way for 10 years. With me.
プレゼント。ここか。
About 8 years back. It was a present to myself. I shouldn't even be drinking coffee with the baby. It's been hard trying to give it up. I think they say you can have 1 cup. It wasn't a present so much, it was one of about 8 years back.
Fuku de 6か。
When will the police let me back in the house? They let me take a bag of clothes with me, but... Look, on his clothes, that would make sense. He made it. By hand. I mean, he brushes the silver onto the glass. That's not how they make mirrors these days. I mean, he made the mirror. And he gave it to me. Yes, it was a cremation for the best. We both wore black and had veils, so it was easy. And after the funeral, everyone came back to the house. Hannah served up sandwiches, and I stayed out of sight.
お葬式の話も出てきたな。両親2回死んでるからな。鏡関連。ここら辺とか半分ぐらいかな今。きちいなぁ。
Her story is that she could being me.
振りとかで。振りないか。
The one he'd given a present he'd given her earlier. He'd given her a unique present. The one he'd given her earlier.
装飾で出てこないんだな何も。あ出てくるやん。嘘つくな。
Yes, this is it. He made it himself. It's a special one-off. He made it and decorated it. That's his thing. Where did you find it? Sorry. The picture, the way it's drawn, just reminded me of the books we used to read as children. I read those fairy tales over and over, and they were so real to me. Rapunzel was my favourite. My brain is just full of it. Are any of these in colour?
ハーストーリーの終わりだけちょっと調べるか。これいつまでやっていいかわからんからな。さすがに。クリア。クリアはないんか。じゃあアーカイブ埋め切るまで一生できるってことか。やったぜ。どうしようかな。鏡13なんよな。
Smashed the mirror. They argued. He grabbed a piece of the mirror and just swung straight clean open. She'd only meant to scare the mirror. She went crazy, smashed the mirror. Then he took out a present. Another mirror.
浮気でめっちゃ出てくる。
She's crying, I guess. She's sad because she thought she saw her husband with another woman. But it's okay, because she finds out it wasn't her husband, it was his brother. And so it's fine. An affair. Simon wasn't having an affair. No, I have never been unfaithful. I've never cheated on Simon. Have I ever cheated on Simon? You asked that question yesterday. Simon never cheated on me. He was devoted to me, and I was devoted to him. Nothing in life is easy. We were good to each other. Life isn't a fairy tale. You do what you can.
お名前シールダメか。浮気もならないよな。結婚を調べてなかった。
A long time. We got married when I was 17. Childhood sweethearts. Something like that. Are you married, detective?
ダミーがいっぱいある。
We spent the wedding night in a hotel in Brighton. It would have been too much to do more. We were saving for the baby. It was wonderful to be in a hotel, away from home, just alone together. Since then, we've always tried to get away for our holiday.
Mm. もうチャット遊べなくなっちゃった。ていうかこれ両方俺やん。コンピューターとかではないんだ俺。強えなと思ったら俺だった。 リバーシが遊べる。何の負けないのなこれ。関係ないわ。あ、
Black coffee, thanks. No sugar. Sweet enough as it is.
コーヒーにね、砂糖入れる入れないも、アナとイブで違うよな。
Yeah. Well, they have one for the glaziers, but it's only for work. I can't remember the number. Oh, it's in the kitchen. I saw it plugged into its charging cradle.
携帯電話。充電器。キッチン。番号。覚えてない。覚えてない。
Well, I don't know. I probably had to pop out and get something. That's why I was speeding. And that wouldn't have been noted on my timesheet. But I really can't remember back to February. He saw me singing one of my shows. Pure chance. Not sure I remember what he was even doing there. Afterwards, I had a drink at the bar and he came over and we got talking. I knew who he was. Obviously I knew who he was. But he didn't know who I was. He was fascinated by the likeness. He guessed my name from my tattoo. Told me it was a palindrome, like that would impress me. I enjoyed talking to him. It was amazing to be able to sit and interact and talk to him after all this time. He didn't tell me he was married. I'm not sure what he was thinking. He later told me it was like he was dreaming. A waking dream.
やっぱタトゥー重要ワードじゃねえか。タトゥータイピングできないばかりに。タトゥーね。
No, he doesn't have any tattoos. He has a scar down here near his stomach, past his hip. Cut himself with some glass. That was before, a long time ago. He looks just like the photo. He's not got his glasses on here though. He takes them off with the camera. But he needs them to see properly, you know. He has to read a newspaper or a menu in a restaurant. Not book so much, or watching TV. He likes TV. Oh, my tattoo.
7時まで行ったら終わる
I
か。
got it to express my individuality. It's an apple and a snake.
タトゥーのある方がイブなんか。
So I moved out. Got a small bed sit. Got my tattoo to mark the occasion. I was singing in a bar in the evenings. So I had some money, enough money to cover my rent. And I've been doing something similar ever since. I haven't put down any roots. I don't exist.
再開。ここだけか。
No, he was as shy as me. I asked a friend to ask him out for me. We had our first date at the Odeon in North End. We went to see Risky Business. I had on my one best dress. Simon paid. He bought me a whisper, and I was worried about getting chocolate on my teeth.
これは花なんよな。
Nothing else happened that night. We talked, then I said goodbye. Then next week I was singing the bar again, and there he was. And again the next week, he offered to buy me a meal. I told him I had already eaten, and so we got chips and ate them on the beach instead. When we said goodbye, he asked me to kiss him. Romantic.
なるほどね。探偵助手の実績を返した。
No. I told her it was one of my boyfriends, someone I had met in the bar. I think she was happy. But I could tell she was thinking, why couldn't it happen to her and Simon? They were the ones with the real life. Why not them?
なるほど。わかった。だから、でも君の母さんってことは、アナをどうした？君の母さんってことは、イブなんだよな。イブが何をしたか。花と一緒に手を隠したぐらいしかやってないような感じがあるけど。
Who he was. He guessed my. He knew what he was thinking. A waking dream. Last year on holiday. Darkish blonde hair.
これなんでここにあんのこれ。赤毛は1個しか出てこない。ローマもここだけ。鏡。
When beautiful people died, we always felt like it was a sign. You remember Princess Grace? Grace Kelly? She died in a car crash the year before we met Simon. We used a Ouija board to speak to her, and that gave us the power to find him. That's what we thought then. that people who died tragically leave some kind of magic behind. We used to share dreams. We used to wake up and write them down in our diaries immediately and compare them.
夢とかノートとか7個か。
We were obsessed with fairy tales. Not just the pretty ones, but the traditional ones. They were dark and real, bizarre and violent. Felt like life. We had this huge old book that I think Mum must have bought from a library sale. The illustrations had thin tracing paper over them to protect them. They were in colour, shiny plates. At the front of the book was an index of illustrations. We read that more than the actual stories. We'd read aloud the captions and flip between the pictures. There was something intimate about peeling back the tracing paper, undressing the pictures. Rapunzel's hair is cut. The eagle plucks out his heart. The princess pricks her finger. I don't know if anyone really changes. You just become more yourself. Simon was my prince, and that hasn't changed. Fairy tales. Stories about lost princesses, evil witches, magical mirrors and lost children. So you see, even before I knew the truth, I'd found it in those stories. Rehearsed? You ask me the same question, you'll get the same
ああ、言
answer.
ってるわ。
Is that your evidence? Of course I thought about what happened then. It's all I've thought about.
これそうらしいで。あんまり同じことって言わんらしい。
If one of us got hurt, the other one would have to be hurt too. A grazed knee, a bruise. When I lost my tooth first, we had to pull our harness to match. Once, I slept with a boy who was seeing another girl. The girlfriend came up to Hannah the next day and punched her in the face, gave her a huge black eye. That night, she had to do the same to me. But she almost went too far. I couldn't see out of that eye for days. She snuck frozen peas up for me from the kitchen. So much of our bodies was synchronised anyway. We started our period on the same day. All our childhood diseases, stomach bugs, nits. We loved our cat, Domino.
どうみどう。
He had this little bell around his neck to stop him from killing birds in the garden. And we used to write each other notes and put them in the bell, and we could send them to each other. Mum found some of the notes once, and she thought I was just writing to myself because our handwriting was identical. And we had our own words for things, so she didn't quite understand them anyway.
一生。ここら辺がさ、全然出てないねんな。いや、まあそういうもんではないけど。そういうもんではないけど。ドミノ。
No, no cat. My parents had a cat before they died called Domino. It was this little black thing with white dots. We never did anything about the cat flap, but if you were thin, you could maybe squeeze through it.
ちょ、みの、これさ、サラで調べていい？一回。あ、出てくるんじゃんね。
I would have been a good mother. I was young, but I would have been a good mother. She was a girl, by the way, the baby. We were going to call her Sarah.
ほえ
Simon wanted to call her Ava after his nana, but I didn't want her to have a symmetrical name.
エヴァも調べとくか。エヴァここだっか。ふーん。じゃあ、今日はここら辺にしとくか。まあ、一応ね、大まかなところは分かったということで。アーカイブ埋めはね、まあ、やらんわ。多分。まあ、なるほどねって感じやな。まあ、アドベンチャーゲーム、どうなんやろな。これもゲームの一つの形やから、どうこうないけど。なるほどね。参考になるな。うん、よくわかった。じゃあ、終わります。お疲れ。よいしょ。